Welcome to Royal Empire, your destination for bold royal investigations that go where others refuse. I'm your host, and today we're examining a question raised by Tom Bower that has rippled quietly but powerfully through royal circles. A question that links missing language, unusual documentation, and disappearing details into a story many believe was never meant to be examined closely. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to Royal Empire and turn on notifications, because this investigation challenges long-held assumptions and demands careful attention from start to finish. Tom Bower didn't speculate casually. He spoke calmly, deliberately, with the confidence of someone deeply familiar with institutional silence. He asked a single question that has since echoed across commentary spaces worldwide. If Meghan truly gave birth to Lilibet, why was the most important sentence absent? A sentence that appeared consistently in royal birth announcements for generations. A sentence that confirms, protects, and formally secures a child's place within royal tradition. And yet, in this case, that sentence was not there. If that omission was deliberate, then the implications become far more complex than most people realize. This is where the story begins, not with rumor, but with language, with what was not said, and with how carefully that absence was preserved. If any part of this feels confusing or difficult to follow, stay with me, because every piece connects, and by the end, the full picture becomes impossible to ignore. Before going further, subscribe to Royal Empire now. We are committed to examining the details others overlook and asking questions that are often avoided. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any part of this ongoing investigation. When a royal child is born, tradition relies on a single line of confirmation that has appeared time and time again. The Duchess was safely delivered of a child. That phrase carries legal clarity, historical continuity, and institutional certainty. Yet when Lilibet's birth was announced, that wording did not appear. Instead, the statement read simply, "We welcomed a daughter." Warm, yes, but to those familiar with royal protocol, noticeably imprecise. There was no mention of delivery, no medical confirmation, no acknowledgement of the process itself. According to Tom Bower, that omission matters, because words like safely delivered carry legal weight. Including them would affirm a physical event that, if later questioned, could not be undone. Removing them creates distance, flexibility, and protection. And the palace followed the same pattern. Buckingham Palace, known for disciplined and deliberate communication, echoed the same wording. Not delivered, not born to, but welcomed. For an institution defined by precision, this alignment was unusual. Royal observers noted that the palace rarely mirrors personal statements without reason. In this case, the shared phrasing appeared to serve one purpose: to confirm nothing that could later require defense. If questions ever arose, the wording left room to say, "We never stated more than what was written." Royal Empire exists to examine those choices carefully. If you value that level of analysis, subscribe now and stay with us. Royal births are not treated as private milestones alone. They intersect with state tradition. Historically, clear expectations exist: legal marriage, verified lineage, documented medical confirmation, and unambiguous acknowledgement that the child was born from the mother. That final point has always been central. Yet with both Archie and Lilibet, several traditional elements were either absent or undocumented publicly. No named medical professionals, no confirmed location acknowledged by the palace in the usual way, no formal verification language. Rather than pause the process, everything proceeded quietly. That decision alone raised questions among royal historians, and those questions only intensified when attention turned to official documents. When analysts examined the birth certificate associated with Lilibet, discrepancies were noted. In the United States, birth certificates use numerical identifiers tied to specific regions. Observers pointed out that the coding associated with this document appeared inconsistent with the publicly stated location. Additionally, the sequence numbers suggested timing that raised further questions. These details are administrative, not emotional, and they are difficult to dismiss without explanation. Paperwork alone might invite debate, But it was not the only irregularity noted. Attention soon shifted to the medical professional reportedly involved. Shortly after the birth, the doctor associated with the event closed her practice. There were no interviews, no confirmations, no public clarification. While privacy is expected, such a complete withdrawal struck many as unusual, especially given the historical visibility often associated with high-profile births. Then came testimony from someone who worked inside the Montecito home during the period in question. According to her account, she never observed physical signs consistent with late-stage pregnancy. She described routine movement, unchanged behavior, and no visible indicators of an imminent birth. Her reaction reportedly came later, when viewing public footage that depicted a dramatically different image than what she recalled witnessing firsthand. Accounts like this do not stand alone as proof, but when they align with existing inconsistencies, they add weight to unresolved questions. Further complexity emerged from claims attributed to a family member who suggested that a medical procedure earlier in Meghan's life would have made pregnancy impossible. This claim was never publicly pursued or substantiated, but its existence added another layer to the broader discussion. If true, it would explain why certain statements were worded cautiously, avoiding declarations that could later be challenged. At this stage, it becomes essential to understand institutional language. In diplomatic and legal communication, what is left unsaid can be as important as what is included. This practice is known as plausible deniability. Statements are crafted to sound complete, while avoiding commitments that could later create exposure. Observers familiar with this style noted that both birth announcements followed that exact pattern. Nothing directly confirmed physical delivery. Nothing named witnesses. Everything remained carefully open-ended. One individual attempted to seek clarity through formal channels, filing a request simply to confirm whether Archie's birth occurred at the hospital publicly stated. The response redirected responsibility to the palace itself, which falls outside such disclosure requirements. The result was a closed loop. No confirmation, no denial, only silence. At that point, the issue expanded beyond one family. It became a question about process, precedent, and the integrity of succession standards. The monarchy has endured controversy before, but uncertainty embedded within foundational structures presents a different challenge altogether. So here we are, with a pattern that includes omitted language, mirrored phrasing, documentation inconsistencies, professional withdrawal, insider testimony, family claims, and institutional silence. Individually, each element might be dismissed. Together, they form a narrative that does not fully align with the official version presented. This investigation is not about accusation, but about accountability. Royal succession depends on clarity, and when clarity is replaced with ambiguity, questions are inevitable. That brings us to the end of today's Royal Empire investigation into the question raised by Tom Bauer. We examined the missing sentence that once defined royal birth announcements, the palace's mirrored wording, the procedural gaps, the document details, the disappearing confirmations, and the barriers that prevent independent verification. Every element points toward a story that remains incomplete. Make sure you're subscribed to Royal Empire, turn on notifications, and stay with us as we continue examining the details others overlook. Share this with those who value careful analysis and let us know your thoughts. Because when the details don't align, seeking clarity isn't speculation, it's responsibility. Thank you for watching Royal Empire. Stay informed, stay observant, and we'll see you in the next investigation.